Getting your business started with data protection is easier than you think. This video will walk you through everything you need to build a complete data protection system. Start by identifying which systems and data matter most to your business. By assessing factors such as how critical the data is to your operations, whether there are any compliance requirements, and how much data you're dealing with, you can determine the best way to back them up. Once you've identified your most critical systems and data, the next step is to plan your protection strategy based on your business needs. A great way to start is with the 3-2-1-1-0 backup rule. That means keeping primary backups, storing copies off-site, and enabling features like immutability and verification to ensure your data is secure. Next, estimate your storage needs. Your data size, backup frequency, and retention period all impact the capacity required to store backups safely and reliably. After planning your protection strategy, the next step is deployment. ActiveProtect delivers an all-in-one data protection solution with ActiveProtect Manager, or APM, the dedicated software developed exclusively for its appliances, making deployment and management simple. ActiveProtect Manager is easy to set up. Everything from installation and storage setup to security settings is handled automatically, allowing administrators to complete deployment and start running backups with ease. Let's take a look at how to download and launch ActiveProtect Manager. Once the ActiveProtect appliance is set up and powered on, you can begin installing the ActiveProtect Manager, or APM. First, open a browser and enter find.synology.com. Synology Web Assistant will help you find your ActiveProtect appliance. Once you see it, just click Connect to start downloading APM. If your backup appliance has internet access, the system will automatically download and install APM. However, if your environment does not have internet access, you need to go to the Synology Download Center to download the latest APM patch and upload it. Once installation is complete, the system will automatically restart the backup appliance. During this process, it will create the RAID and volumes and download all the components required for backup. No manual intervention is needed, just wait a few minutes for initialization to finish. Next, name your backup appliance and create an administrator account. When you're done, click Next to continue. When setting up the network, you'll see two separate ports. ActiveProtect separates the management port from the data port to improve data isolation and security, while still giving you full management control. The management port is for system administration, so it's best to connect it to a secure, isolated management network. The data port handles backup data transfers and should be connected to the production network to receive data from source devices. Once the network is set up correctly, you'll see Connected on the screen. Here, you can configure the management port, and you can also assign a static IP to the data port. It's best to set the static IP now to keep your backup stable and your connection consistent, but you can always adjust these settings later in APM. After clicking Done, the system will spend a few minutes applying the settings, including the hostname, account credentials, network, and firewall. Once that's done, you'll be taken to the main APM interface. Once installation is complete, you can start configuring your backups. The system will guide you to Quick Start, which walks you through the recommended setup step by step. In APM, backups are managed through protection plans, which can be applied across multiple workloads. Let's take a look at how a protection plan is set up. Click Visit to go to the Protection Plan page, where you'll see that the system already provides default protection plans. Select a plan to begin customizing the settings. On the General page, you can set the plan name and description and choose the time zone for running backups. Next, on the Backup Settings page, configure retention rule and backup frequency depending on the level of protection each system requires. You can choose a retention method and adjust the period to fit your requirements. Under Default Scopes and Schedule, define how often and when backups run for all machines using this plan, so that the backup cycle aligns with your RPO requirements. If your workloads have different backup requirements, you can set separate frequencies and schedules for each type in the Custom Scopes and Schedules section. On the Applications page, you have the option to turn on application-aware backups for physical servers and virtual machines, keeping backup data consistent with the source. Once enabled, the Database Processing Preference option lets you decide how databases are processed, so transaction logs are handled correctly during backup to match your needs. The Advanced Settings section provides additional options for physical and virtual machines. For example, enabling backup verification allows the system to automatically run a restore test on a built-in virtual machine after each backup and record a video of the process to confirm data integrity. Besides, you can also manage backup copy settings. Since a backup copy server hasn't been set up yet, we'll move past this for now. We'll come back to it later in the demo and show you how to add a backup copy server and turn on these options. Once the setup is finished, apply the protection plan to your workloads so data protection follows the rules you defined. For example, to protect a virtual machine, go to the Virtual Machines page and click Add. Enter the connection details and connect. When the connection is confirmed, continue to the next step. Choose an archive plan and click Done. Finally, select Go to Virtual Machines to start protecting your VMs. You can either automatically protect VMs based on your hypervisor's management rules or choose specific ones to back up. In this demo, we'll go with Auto Backup. Just select the rule you want to apply, click Next, choose a protection plan, confirm the settings, and then click Done to start the backup. When you return to Quick Start, you'll notice the Backup Data section is now checked off, which means the first stage of setup is finished. To meet the 3-2-1 backup rule, you'll need an off-site server for storing backup copies. Quick Start shows that the next step is to add this server to your site and turn on the backup copy settings in the protection plan. Start by clicking Visit to open the Site Management page, and then choose Site Settings in the top right. Click Setup. Choose Add Backup Servers. The system will generate a connect key. Just enter this on the backup copy server to finish adding it. When you go back to the primary backup server, you'll see that the backup copy server has been added successfully. Now, head back to the same protection plan. Open the Backup Copy tab, select Enable Backup Copy, and choose the destination and how long you want to keep the data. When you return to the Virtual Machines page, you'll notice that the VM we just backed up is now automatically creating a copy on the off-site server. This setup now meets the 3-2-1 backup rule. Now, let's return to Quick Start to continue with the next settings. To better protect against ransomware, we recommend turning on immutability and data isolation features. ActiveProtect uses worm technology for immutability, so once data is written, it can't be changed or deleted, offering strong protection against ransomware attacks. To enable immutability, go to the Protection Plans page. Since it isn't included in the default plans, you'll need to create a new immutable plan for your critical workloads. From the top right, click Create Plan and select Physical and Virtual Machines. The first step is to pick a plan type. Here we'll choose Immutable Protection Plan and enter a name. The rest of the setup follows the same process we walked through earlier. The Immutable Protection plan is now created. You can either use it for new backups or switch the VM we just backed up to this Immutable Protection plan. To change the plan, simply select the VM, click Change Plan, and pick the Immutable Protection plan you just set up. After clicking Change, the VM is now under Immutable Protection. From here on, all backup versions will be locked automatically and can't be altered or deleted during the retention period. If you'd like to learn more about the benefits of ActiveProtect's immutability, check out the How to Lock Backups with Worm Technology tutorial in the top right. Besides immutable protection, ActiveProtect also includes an air gap feature that automatically disconnects the backup server from the network to keep offline copies safe. Start by going to Backup Servers. Choose the server you use for backup copies and then open the Air Gap tab. Pick the isolation mode and set the schedule. To better understand the differences between modes and how to plan the access window for connections, check out the How to Configure Air Gap tutorial in the top right. After setup, the system automatically adjusts the backup copy server's isolation state according to your schedule, keeping backups safe from ransomware. When you return to Quick Start, you'll notice the ransomware prevention section is now marked complete. Strong data protection also means securing who can access it and how. ActiveProtect works with directory services, supports single sign-on, and lets you delegate specific permissions to users. Let's start by joining a directory service. Click Visit to open the page. Then select Open Appliance Console. Select Join, enter the server information, and continue to set up the domain. The system will check your settings automatically, and once everything passes, your backup server is joined to the domain. Next, let's enable SSO. You can choose to have SSO enabled by default when logging in, and choose the SSO protocol you'd like to use. For this demo, we'll go with Synology SSO. Just open the settings, enter the details, and then click Save and Apply. With SSO enabled, users only need to log in once, giving them direct access to the server without typing credentials over and over again. To strengthen login security, we can turn on two-factor authentication for all domain users. Once users finish setting up 2FA for their accounts, they'll log in with SSO and 2FA for extra protection. With login covered, the next step is to assign user permissions. Back in APM, the domain is now joined. To assign permissions, select a user and choose Delegation, Delegate Permission. Either grant full admin rights or allow only specific tasks like backup, restore, or monitoring. You can also give non-admin accounts the ability to perform self-service restores. Just assign a machine to them, and they'll be able to restore their own data without going through IT. If a user has already enabled two-factor authentication and wants to restore a machine on their own, they can go to the Recovery Portal login page and select SSO Sign-In. After entering their username and password, they can open the Secure Sign-In app on their phone, enter the OTP code, and sign in securely. Then, the user can see a list of machines and start restoring. Finally, back in Quick Start, you'll see that all data protection settings are now complete. From here, you can focus on ongoing monitoring and daily management to keep everything running smoothly. To keep track of backup status, you can enable email notifications. If the system encounters an error or unusual event, you'll get an alert right away in your inbox. If you want to receive regular reports on backup and restore tasks across the site, enable Data Protection Summary and choose how often you want to receive them. The system will automatically compile all backup and restore results within that time period and email the report to the designated mailbox. This way, your team can stay informed without logging into APM. These reports can also serve as a reference for routine audits and compliance checks, strengthening data protection and monitoring. At this point, you've completed all deployment settings. With its simple setup, ActiveProtect helps you quickly build a secure and reliable data protection system. Learn more about ActiveProtect in our other videos, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for the latest updates.